We're going to do Q&A at the end, but there are certain questions that I front load because I hear them time again, so I get them out of the way first. People always say to me, "What were you like as a kid?" Which is a code way of saying, "What screwed you up?" So bad that you're doing the things that you're writing the sort of things that you're writing. And the fact is that I was a perfectly normal child. Well, I did have a scrapbook on Charles Starkweather, who was a serial killer. That upset my mother a little bit, but I tried to explain to her that to me he looked like any other teenage kid in the world, and I was trying to understand, where the evil came from, or if it was a mark of Cain or something that you could look at. It was my first exploration of a subject that's interested me a lot since then. But otherwise I was normal. I used to joke and say that I still got the heart of a small boy and keep it in a jar on my desk. And I've gotten credit for that line time and time again, but Robert Bloch, the guy who wrote Psycho, was the original author of that line. I just borrowed it. But I've been interested in kids in my fiction ever since I started writing, really. First I was a kid, and then I had kids, and then my kids had kids. So I stayed interested in kids, and I've written about them a lot, because I wrote a short novel called The Body, which I now think I would stand by me since Rob and I made the movie. And I wrote a book called It, which is... Anyway, I was interested in that book about how children become adults and what they gain when they become adults, and even more interested in what they lose. I wrote about a little boy in Salem's Lot and an even younger boy in The Shining. And at that time, my son, Joe Hill, who now writes novels in his own way, he's got a book out now called Nosferatu. He's a gifted comic writer too. He's got a series called Lock and Key that's very good. And you should get all these books. Support my children. Wait. Serious off. But at the time that I wrote The Shining, Joe was my role model for that kid. I didn't realize that I myself was a role model for Jack Jones. I was dreaming a lot at the time. Like most people who do that, I was thinking, well, geez, I don't do that much. And I show up for work. Also, I never broke my son's arm the way that Jack breaks his kids' arm in The Shining. But I do remember, and this was a revelation to me. My wife and I had children young. We were in our early 20s. I remember a time when a vacuum cleaner salesman came to the house, door-to-door salesman, and my wife had on an old University of Maine football jersey, and her hair was put up, and she was kind of sweaty, and she was wearing slippers, and she opened the door, and the vacuum cleaner salesman said, "Hey, honey, is your mom home?" And Tabby said, "I'm the mom." And the fact is, we had a couple. And what came as a revelation to me was that you could be angry at your kids. My mother never expressed that in an overt way, and I never did either. But I was surprised to find out sometimes you just wish that they would he and his mother, because Wendy was married to a destructive alcoholic, and Danny was the child of a destructive alcoholic. And that makes them technically, in the psychological jargon of today, codependents. And somebody told me that the definition of codependent is that if a codependent is drowning, someone else's light flashes in front of their eyes. They sit here and bring something. Oh, just diet Pepsi. Relax. So every now and then I wonder what Danny was doing. I'd be driving along in my car and I'd be thinking, oh God, Danny Torrance, 12 years old. He's in middle school. And then I'd think, Danny Torrance is 17. He's in high school. What's going on with him? What's going on? You know, this is the way stories start, if you're an honest. But I had never read the sequel and it never crossed my mind that I might like another sequel. So I would just think these thoughts. And every now and then somebody at a autograph or on the street would say, whatever happened to Danny Torrance? And he never said that about any of the other characters. And I think it was because when we last seen him, he's 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. And coming, like I say, out of that dysfunctional situation. So I started to wonder. And in the meantime, for a number of reasons, some good, some bad, The Shining had gotten a reputation as this scary. Well, it scared me a couple of times when I was writing, because you see where Danny goes up to room 217 as a dead woman in the tub. And as I got closer and closer to writing that scene, I think, pretty soon that's going to be there 3 days and I'll be in room 217. 2 days. I have this today. So that's one of the few times where I actually scared myself. But, whenever I thought about writing that book, I thought to myself, well, it won't work. For one thing, people will say, well, that wasn't that scary, geez. I thought that was going to be scary fucking Red Sox. Because, check it out. A lot of the people who read The Shining were like 14 at summer camp, homesick, under the covers, flashlight. And I mean, something like that's easy. You can scare a kid like that, but then 40 years goes by and that person has grown up and they've been through all the ordinary scares of daily life. And I thought to myself, even if I write a really scary book, they'll say, oh, that wasn't so scary. But then I thought to myself, that's probably not a real good reason not to write a book. It's sort of wimpy. So I started to get some ideas. To me, this is like building a car almost. You get a piece where you say, I want to find out about the kid, find out what happened to him when he grew up. And then you get another little piece, and you say, well, what if he was a guy who still had a little bit of shining and he worked for hospice and he was trying to help people get over from life into death? And that's a really interesting idea. But in order to start, I wanted to kind of go back to the beginning. And that meant that I had to go back to Danny Torrance as a child. And luckily for me, where I used my son, my older son, as a model for Danny Torrance when I wrote the first one. By that time, I had 3 grandsons that could serve as life models, if you will. Hang on. Who are you here?